Hey everybody, how you doing? It's your man James back again with another discussion live here stream here for you. Sequential thinking. Hope this finds you all doing well and being safe. As for yours truly, I'm doing all right, except for once again can't seem out to get that haircut. I don't know what to really do about that since they won't. Once again can't since they won't let me. Get one in my town. It might be time to give the governor and the mayor and the city council a French Revolution haircut. The ones just below the Adam's apple. But other than that, I'm doing okay. I hope you are too. Today we're going to be discussing Dynamite Comics and their recent cucking to the SJWs out there. And yeah, it's kind of big news that this happened all over a variant cover done through crowdfunding. I mean, it's just, utterly ridiculous on its face why this is such a big deal. But we're going to get into that, and we're going to get into some of the reasons why they did this, because I don't think it's just a clear-cut case of the usual suspects, doing their usual thing. I think there's more to it. There's some things that have been going on in the industry recently that I think play more of a role in this than some people are considering. So, we're going to get into all that. And, we'll just see what we can come up with. Of course, let me know your thoughts in the chat as things go along. I'm always interested in hearing what everyone's got to say. But I think for now, that's enough of this beautiful face for you. I don't think you need to see that any longer. And what we're going to do is we're going to start, well, we always start where should you start, is at the beginning, of course. So let's get some screen sharing going here. And uh-oh, hopefully this isn't don't mind me, folks, just boomerang it up. There we go. And let's see where we go. We want to go right here. Here's where we'll start it out at, well, of course, yeah, sorry about that, folks. Just some technical difficulties for us all here. So let's try it again, shall we? And share screen. Hopefully this works this time. There we go. Don't mind us, folks, just boomerang it up here like we always do. Okay, and there we go. Now, this right here was where it all begins. You can see here, check out the date, July 16th. Dynamite Comics had decided to do a variant cover for Vengeance of Vampirella #1, a book that's been out for several months. They do these all the time. They do crowdfunders for variant covers now. It seems to be one of their stocks in trade to do this now. So they decided to do one with Cecil from the crowdfunded comic known as Cash Grab. Now, some of you may not have heard of that. Some of you may have. And we'll get into a little more about Cecil in a few minutes here. But just so you know, this face is here. This is the Cecil character. This is the caricature he's made of himself in the comic that he's writing. And so the artist of this, Donald DeLay, an artist we've heard of before, he's the artist for Cash Grab, and he was going to do this variant cover for Dynamite. And this is Dynamite's promotion of it. See, Cecil's next big thing, and it's, the next Cash Grab. So, it's this variant cover for Vengeance of Vampirella 1 that is being done through crowdfunding, which basically means that only people who want the book will get the book. You go in and you pledge it, and provide it makes its goal or better, it will be published, and then you will get your book. So this is like, there's no copies being sent to distributors or to retailers that are never going to move, sitting on shelves or in boxes somewhere. This is basically like almost made to order comics. However many people order it is how many copies will be made, and then those will be sent directly to the people that ordered them. So right there is, so that's what we need to get off the plate right there, is just that this is just a variant cover that only people who want it will buy it. And this just set the SJWs off in a major way. Here we got Gary H. I don't understand how you can publish writers like Gail Simone and Kieran Gillen and Christopher Priest, but think it's okay to promote Comicsgate. I've canceled my pre-orders of 2 upcoming trades. Your values are not in sync with mine, so I will spend my money elsewhere. Now, I mean, right there, you get the point right here. It's they don't, it's when have you ever needed a company to line up with your quote unquote values? When have you ever needed that? I mean, I don't expect the people I buy my milk from or my clothing from, or to feel the same way on things that I do. To expect a publisher, which the only thing they're worried about doing is making money, and saying that they need to somehow be in line with your values for you to spend their money, well, then what are you doing spending your money there anyway? This here is bigotry of the highest order. But you'll come to see here, as I'm going to show you. Here's Gary H's profile from his Twitter, and you can see right here, geek with delusions of competency. Yes, I definitely think that's true. And you can see here we got the X-Men, current X-Men, with the whole Jean Grey, Cyclops, Wolverine polyamorous relationship or whatever it is, where they're trying to basically say Wolverine is now gay or bisexual because he's doing stuff with Cyclops. I mean, just so right there, this guy, right? I mean, and just look at that smug expression on his face. That's the SJW smirk right there. They think they're so much better than you, so much smarter than you, so much more moral than you, and yet you can see the kind of things he subscribes with. Hardly moral. We got another one here. This is very disappointing to see from Dear Blaha or whatever. So disappointing how? What? Because you don't like the cover, so that means it's wrong? No, I don't think so. But again, as we'll see, an illustrator, a colorist. And of course, as with all SJWs, right here, look down there towards the bottom, she, they, got to have the pronouns in the bio. So when you see pronouns in the bio, just know automatically that these are not people who are well in the head. These will always be people who are easily offended, who will always look to seek out ways to hurt others that they don't agree with. That's a key sign right there. When you see the pronouns in the bio, that's a key sign of SJWism. Here's another one. Tim Hundley. This is not cool. And then say, what isn't cool? The fact that they worked out a cover with somebody that you don't like? Who cares, Timmy boy? I mean, you know what's not cool? What you have there in your user handle there. Don't trust kneeling cops. Really? Really? Okay. And then once again, we look, oh, look at this. I'm a good boy. President of Antifa Corp. Inc. LLC. And there you go again. The pronouns, he, him. So once again, this is what we're seeing here. These people, he's down with Antifa. He wants you to believe he's good. And there's the pronouns. You're going to start seeing some trends in all of this. And now here's Ryan Higgins, who's a retailer. And a quick side note about this: this is also one of the retailers who tried to cancel your boy Zach's deal with Antarctic Press. He was one of the retailers who was threatening Antarctic Press, saying, "We'll never order your products ever again." Even for like people who come in and specially order it from the shop, they won't order it for them. That's who this guy is. And so it's not a surprise to see him saying, "I will no longer be stocking Dynamite comic titles at the store. While this is just a custom cover, there is no reason for any company to work with these people. This is a slap in the face to the great creators that work with Dynamite who are targets of Comicsgate. And that's the key here. It's not that there's anything wrong with the cover. It's not that the Dynamite did anything illegal or immoral or anything else. It's just SJWs, neo-Maoists, trying to tell a company who they can and cannot work with, based not on whether it's profitable, based not on whether it's legal, based on not whether it's good business, but based on their feelings of what they think of the people they want to work with. These people are okay to work with. Those people aren't. And you don't get to decide as a business. You don't get to decide as a publisher. You don't get to decide as someone, making their own, as a sentient being with your own mind. You don't get to choose. We're telling you this is what you do. But here Ryan's about to show his own hypocrisy. It's no real loss. We don't sell much past subscriptions anyway, but you got to take a stand at some point. Yeah, take a stand. Well, you see, Ryan, taking a stand would require some significant sacrifice on your part. That's taking a stand. See, Dynamite doing this cover in the face of assholes like you, that would be taking a stand. You saying, well, we're not going to order books from titles that we really don't order them anyway. Yeah, not much of a stand, you cowardly little prick. Not much of a stand at all. But then expecting logical and, intellectual consistency and honesty from people like you, well, that's, may as well ask for water from the moon. You'll have a better shot for that. Here we go, another one. May I refer you to my pinned tweet? For now, I and my site, the Con Collective, will not be supporting Dynamite Comics while they actively promote those who are part of a hate group. Take note of those words, folks. This is going to be a running theme. A group determined to bring down solid creators, some of which are actually published by Dynamite. Except Comicsgate is not a hate group. It isn't. It's people who are fed up with being force-fed certain politics in entertainment that was never meant to be there, of being called bigots and Nazis because they don't like that, of people who want comics to be entertainment first and social commentary second, or even further down if possible. That's what Comicsgate is about. It's about customers who want comics to be entertainment. That's what it's about. It's not about a hate group. And the fact that the people, that they criticize, call them a hate group, really tells you what the truth of all this is. And, and as you can see here, here's another one, Mike Fitz. Yeah, can't remember the last time I read a Dynamite book and happy to unfollow now. Oh, so you don't read their stuff, but you follow them. Why is that, Mike? What are you following them for if you don't even read their stuff? But yet you'll chime in on this because, again, it goes back to the whole point of controlling other people. And just so you know who this guy is, creator of Destiny City Comics and Smash Patriarchy, of course. Of course. Of course. You just can't make up how pathetically predictable these types of people are. D. Cuniff, really? You can do better. This is not a good idea. You're supporting people who hurt creators who actually work for you, except they don't. They're not hurting creators with a variant cover that is done through a crowdfunder that nobody has to order unless they actually want it. So where's the hurt? The only hurt is in butthurt, and that is of seeing someone you don't like getting an opportunity you don't want them to have. And guess what? That's more on the lines of a mindset of a hate group than someone who says, I just want entertainment to be entertainment. And here's D. Who is D? Oh, they're a colorist. That figures. Colorists, I've come to find out, are some of the biggest, most racist, hateful, disgusting human beings on the planet. And D is just another classic example of that. You can see here, look, all the different works they've done, all the different companies they've worked at. So, this is not much of a surprise to me. And we got Mike Norton with one word: gross. Yes, Mike Norton, all of this hatred over a variant cover by somebody you don't like is quite gross. When are you people going to learn to stop letting your hatred rule your responses? And of course, Mike Norton, Eisner-winning comic maker. But here's the real truth of it all. I tweet too much. Yes, Yes, Mike, I'm sure you do. The fact that you took your time out of your day to write that tweet about a cover you didn't care anything about by a guy you know nothing about, well, yeah, I'm sure that you do tweet way too much. That's finally one of you are actually putting some truth in your bios there. I got to say, I appreciate that much. Sam Ingleson. And no more Dynamite from my pull list. This is disappointing to say the least. For what, Mike? For what, Sam? What are you talking about? How is it disappointing? Are you being forced to order this cover? No. Are you forced to like the cover? No. Are you forced to support the cover? No. Oh, So what's disappointing? Oh, somebody working for them that you don't like. Oh, so once again, we go back. Here it is. Goes back to the same point. This isn't about right or wrong. This isn't about good business. This isn't about, having people having options or choices or any of this stuff that they do. It's not even about any of that stuff. It's all about we want to control who works where. And if we don't like you, we want you to be blacklisted. And this used to be a thing that was seen as bad. Blacklisting people, from an entire industry, that would be seen as bad. I'm sure if somebody blacklisted Sam, he'd have a problem with that. But yet he has no problem doing it to others he doesn't like. And who is he? Well, writer, editor, comics guy, senior copy editor at SB Nation. There it is right there. Another quote unquote professional. Another professional in the industry. KJ Eldridge, pretty disappointing. Promoting a hate group. Peace. I love the piece at the end. After he comes in, makes a snide comment, insults an entire group of people by lying about them. He then says peace. I like that. I'll give him that. That's some points for humor right there. I'll give you points for humor. But who is he? Oh, writer of the novel The Last Knights, Rays of Ruin. Artist of the comic Wolverine. Writer and artist of the comic Warfront, Argonauts. So again, another guy who's a professional in the industry trying to blacklist others from said industry because he doesn't like that they criticize people he wants to genuflect to. Pretty pathetic, really. Really sad. This one gets a little disturbing when you get deeper into it. This is Alyssa, and she goes, disappointing, but honestly, not surprising at all. Stop giving these bigots a platform. And see, there it is. She's saying what all the others were trying to say without saying it. She's coming out, just don't give these people opportunities. Don't let these people in the industry. Don't let the publisher decide who they want to do business with. Just, we will decide, and you will capitulate. This is what they do. But it goes even more than that, because someone replies to her, considering that Gamergate was created to stop the corruption within the gaming industry, that wiki page is very off. Also, it's very disingenuous about Comicsgate. It was never created to harass any people of color, women, LGBT people. I have been in Comicsgate for a very long time, and that is definitely wrong. To which Alyssa responds, it absolutely was. I'm going to go ahead and stop replying to you because I've got better things to do with my time, unlike you. I absolutely want the comic industry to destroy the majority of cis men working in it. Stay mad about that. So there you go right there. Let's unpack this. First of all, you can see, the minute they bring up some points of contrarianism in what they're saying, it's I got better thing to do with my time than talk to you, except you are talking to them and you had nothing better to do with time but to come here and complain. So, we all know that's a lie. There's lie number one. But the more part is what you see after this. The destroy. I will absolutely want the comics industry to destroy the majority of cis men working in it. I mean, how much more blatant can that be? This is a person who wants to push people out based on their identity. I mean, this is the same person who would say if you blasted them for their identity, you're a bigot. But here they are doing the exact same thing, and they see no problem with it. But then again, let's take a look at that bio. Oh, comic seller, and they them. There's the pronouns once again, and they think they're a cat person. Obviously, they think look at me, I'm like a kitty cat. Just the mental illness with these people. The mental illness. It never stops. It never stops. Well, here's another one. Scott Factor. Seriously, I've been reading Red Sonja and Deja Thoris, but I can't support Dynamite supporting these absolute chuds. For what? A cover? I mean, that's all it is, dude. It's just a variant cover that you don't even have to buy unless you want to pledge to it. So what are you worried about? You're not being forced to buy anything. You're not supporting anything. But again, see, again, these people, it's all guilt by association. It doesn't matter whether they're being forced to support the book or support the image or anything else. It's if you're connected, even tangentially, to somebody they don't like, you are now guilty of whatever they blame them for. So, they blame Cecil for being, a bigot. So therefore, by working with Cecil, Dynamite Comics are now bigots because, well, he's a bigot and you wouldn't work with a bigot unless you were a bigot too, except one, Cecil isn't a bigot. Two, Dynamite Comics isn't in the business of, purity testing people. They're in the business of publishing comics that will make money. And three, even if he were a bigot, so what? Bigots need to make money too. It's not a case of like, well, you just have to work with them and they can go work somewhere else, because it would be the same anywhere else. If it wasn't Dynamite Comics, if it was IDW, if it was Boom Studios, if it was, any other company, they would do the same thing. So it's not like they're saying, well, we just don't want them at Dynamite. It's like, they want you to be completely, again, blacklisted from the entire industry. And again, what's that bio say? Oh, SJW, feminist, Antifa, pro-LBM, pro-Last Jedi, he, him. And then I love the bit at the end, I block hard and I block fast. I'm sure you do, Scott, because that's the last thing an ignorant bigot like you would ever want, is for people to be able to come back at you with actual facts and realities that you don't want to accept. But again, it's just all too common with this breed. Here's another one. I'm pretty sure you were informed before, but let me repeat it. You'll lose customers if you keep pushing work from a hate group. You've lost me already. Don't work with comic skaters. So right there, again, see, once again, it's not about anything wrong with the image, not about anything wrong with variant covers or crowdfunding. It's just, I don't like this person, and if you work with them, now I'm not going to like you. Again, they call Comicsgate a hate group, and yet this is what they do. What is more hateful than this? To demand someone run their business the way you want them to run it. To demand that they only work with those you approve of. Isn't that kind of a hate group there? I don't know. Seems so to me, but again. Oh, look at this. Illustrator of this little indie comic you might have read of. Yeah, so maybe that's why he hates Comicsgate so much, because they're a lot more successful than his little indie comic is. And so here's a guy who, on his first crowdfunded, now gets somebody wanting to do a cover with him. And now I guess that would be a lot of butthurt for this dude here, since, 75 followers. Good job there, dude. I've got more followers, and I'm a nobody. And here's a guy. We can see right here, just from his name alone, BLM, right there in the rainbow mask. This is where things start to really amp up. So I'm sending an anon email to my local comic shop about Dynamite, just in case they decide to ghost it or come back with a "we're still going to sell them" response. Are there any good comic stores who will mail? I did it once long ago and got some damaged comics and have been hesitant since. So here we go with a campaign now. Now it's not just the Twitter mafia here, the Twitterati, who are trying to get Dynamite to capitulate and not work with people they don't want them to. But now they're going to try to pressure comic shops that are hurting in this industry right now, comic shops that are dying on the vine. You've seen in past discussions I've had, I've shown you the stuff. The shops are dying because between the predatory practices, the higher increases in the cover prices, the lower ability of sales, the stuff doesn't sell like it used to. You got shops saying that the back issues are what keeps them open, not the new stuff. All these things across the board that are just whomping on comic shops, putting them out of business. 50 to 100 every year for the last 4 years have closed every year. And here this asshole, this Marxist BLM asshole, is going to go and try to force his local shop to not carry Dynamite's books because he doesn't like Comicsgate. And so he he even admits here that he knows they may just either ghost it, which is a little internet speak for like just ignore the email, which I would say is probably the best thing that shop could ever do. Ignore this loser. They are not a worthwhile patron if you have them. Or they're going to come back with, we're still going to sell them. See, they already acknowledge that they may not care about this shit, but these people do. To them, it's deadly serious. Deadly serious to blacklist people, to control publishers, and to tell shops what they can and cannot sell. It's crazy. Then we really get into it, because now this is where things really started to steamroll on everybody. This is Mark Russell, who, in case you don't know, he's a comic writer. He writes for Dynamite, as he notes here. As I write this, I'm finishing work on Red Sonja number 24, which concludes my contractual obligations to Dynamite Comics. After which, I will no longer be accepting any further work from Dynamite for as long as they continue to affiliate whatsoever with Comicsgate. So right there, again, Dynamite's done nothing wrong. They haven't done wrong by him. They haven't, mistreated him in any way. They haven't, done anything towards him that was wrong. It's just they worked with someone he doesn't like, and therefore now I can't work with you. Again, this really shows you the mentality of these people. Continuing, I don't make this decision lightly, not only because I was looking forward to other Dynamite projects, but because when a creep walks into a bar, I think they should be the ones to leave. But the reality is they're not being asked to leave, which necessitates this decision. See, again, you're making the choice for the company. It's not your call about who they associate with and who they think they can make money with. That's not your job, Mark. That's not your place, buddy. You're overstepping your bounds. Continuing, I don't know if this is the right move or even a very smart one, but it's what my conscience requires. Comicsgate is a hate group. Oh, there it is again, folks. There it is again. I told you there's going to be a running theme with this, with a long history of harassment, particularly of women and LGBTQ creators. Don't try to convince me that they're not. I've seen it for myself. Except, what did you see, Mark? Did you see them just attacking people based on their identity, or did they criticize their work? Then the creator in question comes in and attacks them, calling them a bigot or a Nazi, saying things like, I don't want your money, you effing Nazi. And then they responded in kind. See, that's a little bit of a difference, I think. That's not attacking, that's not being a harassment of women and LGBTQ creators. That's called, fighting words. You want to come in and call somebody a Nazi because they say your work sucks. Well, when they come back and slap you with something that's not so nice, I don't think I can blame that person. I got to blame you. But of course, a guy like Mark will never make that discernment. Either one, because he's afraid of the SJWs himself and being canceled, or two, he's an SJW who swallowed the Kool-Aid and believes whatever they tell him to believe. But if they won't leave the bar, then I have to. I refuse to provide them mainstream cover by working alongside them. But you're not working alongside them, Mark. This is a variant cover to a book you weren't writing. So how are you working alongside them? See, once again, logic doesn't matter to these people. Again, this was not an easy decision. I love working with Dynamite, and I know it puts my collaborators in a difficult position. I've had several conversations with them over the last few days, and I'm proud to report that they all support or at least understand this decision. Yes, because they're all a bunch of Marxist left-wing ideologues like you, Mark. That's why. It's go to the Communist Party of China. You'll find everyone all in agreement there too, and saying how when anyone makes a decision, well, that's the greatest decision ever. Why? Well, because they're one of us. So of course they agreed with you, Mark. Of course they supported you. Of course they didn't have a problem with this. Doesn't mean you're not wrong. It just means that you're going to the people who also, are like you and don't care if they're wrong. And here's everyone's favorite dick boy, Patrick Zurcher. This isn't clever, Dynamite Comics. No one is asking a comic company for a lot of integrity, just some. Now, this image you're seeing, this is from Cecil's book, Cash Grab. This is a preview page to that book that he had on his crowdfunder. This is not the book that the cover was done for. The cover was done for Venice of Vampirella #1. So this has nothing at all to do with the cover. But you can see dumbass Pat Zurcher here. Well, He doesn't care because it's not about facts and truth and, reality. It's about, we hate you, so we're going to hit you wherever we think we can. And, again, this is, I love the image. It's a great image, hilarious, because I can see why a bitch like Pat Zurcher is butthurt, because being an SJW asshole himself, anything that would make fun of them, they don't like that. And that's exactly what this panel here does. As you can read along with this, if you look at this for a moment here and just read those dialogue balloons, you can see that that's exactly what it does. It's making fun of SJWs. And, again, that's what, again, that's part of where all this hate is coming from. The SJWs don't like being mocked, even though that's the only value they really have in life. Here's Ramon Villalobos from the short-lived shit series Border Town that helped kill Vertigo Comics over at DC. He quotes Mark Russell and goes, "Mark writes sick comics. His Flintstone book is one of my favorites in years. Dynamite was lucky to have him and other creators work for them, and they played themselves for what? Crowdfunded variant cover distribution? It's a shame, to be honest." Now, you know what's a shame, Ramon? What's a shame is you working with a known sexual predator like Eric Esquivel on Border Town and saying nothing until the shit got exposed, and then all of a sudden now you got to do damage control, go, "Oh, I totally am against that kind of stuff, and so I have to stop working on this book." Well, you knew about it before then, but didn't stop you working on it. But again, the hypocrisy of these people. He's willing to work with a sexual predator and say nothing, but yet a publisher does a variant crowd-funded cover by a Comicsgate personality, and that's just, they played themselves. No, I think the only one being played here, Ramon, is you, and you're being played for being a hypocritical, two-faced scumbag, which is what all SJWs are in the final analysis. Matt Starman Morrison. Oh, I love this. I got a little story that's going to go with him in a moment here, but first, let's go into his little words here. "I'm glad to hear this," to Mark Russell's quitting Dynamite. "I took your Red Sonja off my subscription this week because of the Comicsgate links and reports that Dynamite isn't paying some of their artists. Much as I've loved your run, I couldn't justify sticking it out as much as I wanted to support you." Yes, support him. So much so that you're going to walk away from the book that you enjoy because of a variant cover to another book by somebody you don't like. I mean, can you see how stupid all this sounds when you look at the face of it? But then again, this is nothing new for Matt Starman Morrison. A little story from several years back. And again, funny enough, it involves Red Sonja. There was a Red Sonja issue written by Ron Mars, also another SJW cuck asshole we've talked about many times. And in the story, Sonja's riding along the river Styx, and when she gazes into the waters, it shows her possible future lives she could have had. Sort of alternate realities, as it were. And in this one, she's evil, and she rapes a guy and gets pregnant and gives birth to a demon child. Now, again, this was all a what-if, Elseworldsy type of thing that didn't really matter because, it was a one-off story that, was just basically a filler story as they're going along this storyline they're doing with her riding along on the river Styx. Well, of course, all the feminists at the time, the feminist fangirls, got into a big tizzy about the issue. It's sexist, it's patriarchal power, it's blah, blah, blah. They're trying to say women are rapists, they're blah, 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 blah. All the usual jive you would hear from that quarter. Matt Starman Morrison actually came out and said something, well, I wouldn't say against them, but he used logic rather than emotion. And he was like, I can't get mad at this issue because it's really just a one-off what-if story that in the grand scheme doesn't matter and doesn't alter the actual character. Red Sonja is still Red Sonja. This was just a possible future that didn't even matter because it didn't happen. And, he approached it from pure logic. Now, it makes sense to me. I could see not being upset about for that reason. That's very much, a very well-reasoned, point. Of course, that doesn't matter to feminists, and they reamed him for it. And even him going out and, spewing out all his feminist cred about all the causes he's supported and the people he's helped and, how he's totally a feminist ally and all that jazz that you do, all those bona fides, it all meant nothing. Logic means nothing to these people. Past associations and help and support means nothing to these people. The minute you step against the orthodoxy, the minute the collective has spoken and said, this is what you believe, or else, it doesn't matter about any other facts or information that you have or any other realities or support you've given. None of that matters. All that matters is you stay in line with this orthodoxy, or else we will treat you just like we treat everyone else we're against. Because with SJWs, folks, you're in one of two camps. You're either one, a useful idiot, which they call an ally, or two, you're an enemy. And if you're not in the first camp, guaranteed you're in the second. And everybody in the first camp will eventually end up in the second at some point, which is kind of what happened to Matt Starman Morrison. Now, you would think after all this went down, he would have learned a lesson from that and go, wow, I guess these people really aren't, good people. They're not people who want to help others or improve things. They're just out to attack and, malign anybody who doesn't think exactly like they do. You would think that would be what you would walk away with. But of course, this is Matt Starman Morrison, the cuck. So he didn't. He instead decided to prostrate himself on the altar of feminism, begging forgiveness. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize I was hurting women with this. I didn't see a problem. It's my own privilege talking. I'm so sorry. Please stop hating me. Please stop attacking me. Please stop savaging me on the internet. Please, please, please. So to see him cucking off here, yeah, not much of a surprise here. Not much of a surprise at all. Now we come to everyone's favorite fake holiday, Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa, comic book's very own cross between Oswald Bates from In Living Color and Bebe's Kids. To all you youngins out there who might be watching who don't get those references, go Google them. Trust me. Be prepared to laugh, though. They're pretty funny. So here we are with our good boy Kwanzaa, who, of course, has to jump in on all this. In fact, some of you even said he may have been the instigator of all of this hate towards Dynamite. I'm only going to say this once. Everyone in comics industry who's been new that Dynamite is supporting Comicsgate needs to stop with the back channel, blind eye, fence-sitting bullshit because of associations with Nick Barrucci or checks from this publisher. The women, BIPOC, and LGBTQIA in comics who they target don't get to choose. We've been harassed, threatened, and doxxed by and because of these motherfuckers. Who Dynamite is now blatantly promoting because of no backlash. So see right there, he's already, once again, wise. Again, the reason people don't like you, Kwanzaa, isn't because you're black. It's because you're an asshole. The reason people criticize you isn't because of your skin color, but because of your shitty writing and your racism, your open anti-white racism. So that's why they hate you, Kwanzaa, not for your skin color. Because there are, plenty of black people in Comicsgate, creators and otherwise, and no one has a problem with them. But then again, they're not going around saying shit like this. But this is just him getting warmed up, folks. Which is to many of y'all being mad quiet, acting funny and confused. Some think it's about fucking politics. Others have a project with Dynamite and don't want to fuck with your money. Some of y'all secretly agree with these scumbags. But fuck that, and honestly, fuck you. The people these assholes have harassed for years are supposed to be your colleagues and friends, but y'all ain't got shit to say now? No, they don't, because it's a variant cover to a crowdfunder that no one is being forced to support. You see, that would be, if it was like a regular cover maybe, and they were being forced, to having shops and buy it, and people who work on the book support them and all, maybe you could say there'd be something there, but that's not the case here. So no one's got nothing to say because they just don't give a shit about your butthurt, Kwanzaa. Continuing. Y'all all making fucking declarations to not be sexual predators, blacking out your fucking profile pics, but too many of you know for a fact that Nick Barrucci is working to legitimize a hate group. Fucking silence? No, he's not working to legitimize a hate group because he doesn't support you, Kwanzaa. He doesn't support any of you assholes who are doing this, so he doesn't support hate groups. This fucking bag of garbage's twiddle hander is goddamn homage to one of the most notorious scumbags of this hate group. Y'all cool though? Times are that tough because of COVID-19? See, so once again, now see, he's admitting that maybe people aren't saying something because, well, we got to work. You know, we can't just take a stand and say we're going to hate anybody who comes in that we don't like because that'll kind of blackball us in a way. But of course, this fucking doofus ass doesn't care about any of that because he's a fucking loser. So if you know he can be a loser, you can be a loser too. Do not fuck at me. Don't fucking DM me. Don't fucking talk to me at con once the quarantine is over if you aren't taking an active stand against this fucking absolute bullshit. Well, no, we are taking a stand against you, Kwanzaa. That's why, you know, no one gives a shit about you. P.S. If you think I'm not talking about you, I very fucking much am talking about you. And I am mad as fuck at you. Oh, my goodness. Kwanzaa is mad at us. Oh, my goodness. Oh, gee. How will I ever go on with my day? You know, but this is the guy. This is the guy right here. He still can't stop. Still goes on. I'm sorry. Do y'all need a fucking performative graphic for your profile pic to speak up? I wish I had time to process my emotions while Comicsgate doxed me and posted my address and pictures of my wife, but fucking go off. So this is the guy who claims to have been doxed by Comicsgate. Of course, he wasn't. He was doxed by Kiwi Farms, which has, you know, they've doxed people in Comicsgate. So it's, you know, it doesn't, no real, you know, delineation there that this was specifically targeted at him. It's just he's a loudmouth asshole online, and just like the people in 4chan, you know, people are going to come at you because they think you're a dickhead, and you know he just gets what he deserves. But here's how bad the doxing has hurt Kwanzaa. Look at that. That's him at a show. Look at that. Nobody at that table. Nobody. They're walking by like it's invisible, like he's invisible, which really I think is the problem. That's why Kwanzaa gets all head up at shit like this, because he can see a guy like Cecil, who's never worked in comics before outside of his one crowdfunded comic that was successful, and who doesn't do shows like this. He gets a cover at Dynamite, and yet Kwanzaa can't get a job at Dynamite. That's hilarious. And this is why. Again, I told you we're going to talk about some of the reasons why. I think this is part of the reason why you're seeing some of this, at least from the creative side, is they're jealous as hell because they're losers and pathetic, and they don't think they have what it takes to make the kind of money someone like Cecil can, and they don't have any play, and people treat them just like this, and deservedly so. This is exactly the treatment they deserve. And here's Pudwhacker Joe Glass. So yeah, Dynamite Comics are straight up pimping Comicsgate books. Absolute trash. Yeah, well, you know, it's better than your books, Joe, which, you know, this is the guy who, when he did crowdfunding, said he doesn't want the crowdfunding to make more than the goal. So if the goal was for, say, $2,000, I don't want to make much more than that. I mean, how ridiculous is that? The whole point of a crowdfunding is to make as much as you can. You know, to not just meet your goal, but far exceed your goal. That's what you want, but not this guy. See, this is the mentality of these losers. So I can understand why he would have a problem with someone as successful as Cecil has been at crowdfunding when he himself has barely made enough to actually get his own books published. And here's a guy, Justin Partridge, who you're going to see in a minute why he's important. It's super disappointing because Dynamite was a company I somewhat looked up to and was vocal about. Some of the stuff I really liked. Green Hornet, Lone Ranger, The Spirit Returns, a lot of their Bond stuff, which is a whole other bag of yikes now. But I can't in good conscience allow them column inches anymore. Again, just for me personally. But I don't see myself reviewing anything from them in the near future. Now, what does that all mean? Well, here it is right here. Oh, look at this. Writer for hire, bylines, Newsarama. So this is the guy who writes for Newsarama. This is the comic book industry media. This is what they do. This is, you know, this is, you know, we saw with the last one I did, we talked about the Whisper Network and how they're, you know, connected, you know, behind the scenes, and they're connected to people in the media. Well, here it is right here. Here it is right here. Someone in the media trying to apply pressure to a publisher to do what they want, rather than just report stuff, rather than just review stuff, which is what you expect of comic book media. No. We're not going to do that. We're not going to play that game. We're going to try to force you to do what we want or destroy you. And that's what these people are all about. And here's another one. This guy here, Nathan Payson. This is the book Dynamite is supporting, and he shows again that page from Cecil's crowdfunded book, which is not the book that they are supporting. This is not the book. This is their book is Vengeance of Vampirella. That's the book they're supporting, not Cash Grab. So I had to come in and actually school this chump. No, actually that is his own crowdfunded comic, which has made $175,000 so far. The cover for Dynamite is a variant on Vengeance of Vampirella #1. Might want to know what you were talking about when you spew your bile. You'll look less foolish, well, less than normal for you, because that's what these people all do. But again, he doubles down on the foolishness. Shame on you, shame on your racist homophobic work, he says to Cecil. Don't effing retweet me, acting like I endorse this. The writing is insulting and attacks my existence in so many ways. It shames minorities, attacks BLM, and is frankly hurtful. I hope the writer and artist never get work again. See, there it is. And but here it is. It attacks my very existence. This is what I'm talking about. These people, it's all wrapped up in themselves. See, all the stuff they do, it has nothing to do with you, Cecil and Donald DeLay and Nick Barucci and Donald. It has nothing to do with any of those people. It has to do with them. This is all internalized shit that they can't control. They hate themselves. They hate themselves so much that they project it onto everybody else so that they don't have to feel the shame that they're trying to push on others. And in doing so, they try to destroy lives, hoping someone never works again. I mean, who are you, dude? You're nobody. Continues on. To all the comic-skaters trying to troll me, this is vile, racist, sexist, and deeply homophobic. Shame on everyone who reads this for fun. You are some of the worst people on the internet, and what you are reading is sinful. I mean, do you look at this? Everyone who reads this, shame on everyone who reads this for fun. They shame having fun. So they're admitting that Cecil's book, the page he showed you from Cash Grab, it's meant in fun. It's not an attack on people. It's not pushing a real political message. It's not trying to force you to believe something you don't want to believe. It's satire being done to amuse you and entertain you. And they're admitting they understand this, and yet they still want to shame you, telling you it's sinful to read it. These people, this is what they do. I mean, these Marxist leftists are now the new religious right. They are puritanical people who think they have the right to determine what is proper, what isn't, and if it isn't proper, we have the right to be as improper as we want. We've seen they attack people and do things that if it was done to them, they would call it racist and bigotry. But yet they do it, and it's perfectly okay because somehow they're justified because they feel it attacks their very existence. Just total bullshit. And I received over 8,000 notifications from comic-skaters in the last 5 hours. If I had that much for some replies, imagine just how much writers like Gail Simone and Vita Ayala and others have to go through in this industry. This is not okay. Well, yeah, you got 8,000 notifications because you're attacking people. So, Gail Simone and Vita Ayala, who also have attacked consumers, yeah, I'm sure they've gotten a lot like that too. That's the story there, and you're right. That is not okay to do that. But as I try to tell him, you're right. It isn't. So stop attacking and insulting them, and they won't feel the need to respond to you. Simple solution. All it takes is self-control on your part. You only prove that you are guilty of what you would accuse others of, and there's a name for that. And we all know that name, don't we, folks? We all know that name. Even these SJWs know that name. And speaking of Gail Simone, here's the big whale herself stepping in. Here's the thing. I'm not being silent for career reasons. I'm not being silent at all. I'm taking a minute to process something very disappointing and sad, something personally very disappointing and sad. If I'm not doing that on your timer, don't know what to say. So here it is. She was obviously getting some blowback, from people because she wasn't responding quickly enough to this. She wasn't like right on it. Oh, got to get right on that and get people. But she wasn't doing that. And so she was getting blowback. And so she's even telling the people, if I'm not doing that on your timer, don't know what to say. Yeah, you don't know what to say, Gail, because if you said anything more than this, they'd be attacking you next. See, that's how this all works. And I love this, taking a minute to process something. We all know what that process is. It's not processing, does she still want to work for Dynamite? It's not processing, you know, is this even worth commenting on? No, the processing is, let me go to my Whisper Network buddies and see what we can do about getting this canceled. Let me go to my Whisper and see what we can do about destroying Dynamite Comics. That's the process she's working on. I guarantee you that much. That is a surefire guarantee. Now this was one that I thought was probably the most interesting thing to come out of all of this. This is Erica Schultz, who's a comic book professional. And she takes a slightly different tact on this, but not completely. She still stays SJW, but she does it from an angle that really kind of speaks more to the non-SJWs points than to the SJWs. So here we go. I've worked on several different books for Dynamite Comics and enjoyed working with the editors there. However, their association with Comicsgate is awful. I didn't know the links it had developed because I wasn't paying attention. I admit, I already have most of Comicsgate blocked, so I didn't see it. That's on me. I do have to say one thing, though, not in defense of Dynamite, but in defense of some of the creators that work on books there. A lot of creators are not in the financial position to drop a gig or decline an offer of a book. Getting work in comics is not an easy task. And admonishing creators that aren't in a position to just say, nope, not working with them anymore, is a simple answer to a complex problem. There are more factors involved. And let's be honest, the financials of any of these creators aren't the business of anyone. How funny. Their financials aren't, but yet the company and who they do business with and how they make a profit from people, that is their business. You see the duplicity of these people. Continuing. So there's a creator listed on solicits. Don't automatically assume. So if there's a creator listed on solicits, don't automatically assume that they are rah-rah CG. But they may have written a story months or a year ago that's now being solicited. They may have taken the gig months or a year ago and aren't in a position to stop working with Dynamite because they're freelancers. And freelancers don't always have the ability to just drop a gig. It's so very easy to just say, screw you, fill in the blank creator, because they're working on a book. It's not so easy to be that creator who has bills to pay. And I know it's tough to hear this, but whether you have a check next to your name or not, you're being hit financially because of COVID, or just because you're a freelancer. And people who've never been freelancers don't understand how precarious the situation is under the best of circumstances. So be pissed at Dynamite all you want. Hell, I'm pissed. And I haven't worked with them since last year, so I have some distance and the ability to say this. But others who are currently working with them don't have that ability. As a freelancer, you can't bite the hand that feeds you. I like this. That's a good point right there. You can't bite the hand that feeds you. But that's exactly what people like Erica Schultz, Gail Simone, Mark Russell, Kwanzaa, all these quote-unquote comic pros have been doing for years, is biting the hand that feeds them, the hand of the consumer, which brought about Comicsgate. That's where it all comes from, folks. If you didn't bite the hand that fed you, Comicsgate wouldn't exist. That's why Comicsgate exists, because you guys didn't know enough not to bite the hand that feeds you. Continuing. Let's see. Not unless you have a net to catch you. And in this COVID world we live in, pretty much no one has a net. So all I'm asking for is for you to think about your anger and your want to lash out and direct it towards the person or company that is responsible, rather than the people who are trying to just make a living and create. That's pretty rich. That is pretty damn rich coming from you, Erica Schultz, because that's exactly what you're trying to stop. The company is working. Why did they work with Cecil and Donald DeLay? Because they saw a way to make money. Money to keep the publisher alive. Money to keep the publisher in business, so that way other creators can get their works out. You see, this is the thing. You know, the anger is all on your end, not on the other. You're the pissed off ones. You're the ones who attack consumers. You're the one who attack those who don't believe what you tell them to believe. You're the ones who have bitten the hand that fed you. And yet you now want people to show deference to you for these reasons, when you had no idea or no care that this is the exact same thing that brought it about. Oh, crap. You know, this is what the problem is. You know, they never think about this stuff, you know, until it's affecting them. But by that point, well, it doesn't matter anymore. Continuing. One last thing, and this is a statement for anything that has to do with anything. If you ever watched a building being put up, it takes months, sometimes years or even decades to get the structure to be complete. But then there's a demolition. You've seen it in movies in Las Vegas, etc., and it takes seconds to take that building down, just in the snap of a finger. I'm just asking that the next time you decide to tear something or someone down, remember that what they are doing is building not just a creative portfolio, but a career. A career takes decades, years. Hell, if we were vampires, it takes centuries. But please remember that it takes only a few seconds of your tweet, which is what? Which is what is it 240 characters or whatever, to tear something down, and what feels like a lifetime to build up. Please remember that. Please remember there it is. So, you know, there it is. Building a career, and it only takes a tweet made in anger, in haste, in stupidity, in bigotry to destroy it. I mean, the irony of someone like her saying this when it's something that people in Comicsgate and even people who aren't Comicsgate but just comic lovers have been saying for years to them, the very same thing. Stop attacking consumers. Stop berating the people who are paying the bills. Stop it. You're destroying your careers. You're destroying your industry. And they didn't want to listen. Pardon me. They didn't want to listen. But now that they're all feeling the pinch, partially because of COVID and partially because of the downturn the industry has had for the last several years as far as sales, now they're feeling the pinch. Now it's, oh, please be respectful. Don't attack people. What she means is don't attack me. Don't attack me and mine. Don't attack those who think like me. Those people over there are okay to attack, but not us. Because, you know, you could destroy our careers, which we're going to see a little bit of that a little bit later in this. But continuing. Please remember to direct your anger, frustration, rage at the correct group or group of people. If you have a solid 9-to-5 with good benefits and such, you may not understand what freelancers have to deal with. And I get that. I had a good 9-to-5 for years, but that's different now. And despite having a blue badge next to my name, I'm still struggling every month to pay bills, just like most of the rest of you. Blue badge or not, 9-to-5 or not. So here it is again. I'm struggling to pay my bills. I love this because this is exactly what they want to do to those they don't like. You know, trying to cancel people, trying to destroy companies because of who they work with or who they choose to work with. You know, you don't seem to worry about those people having to struggle, those people having bills to pay. They don't matter. It's only when it's you and yours that it matters. But you see, that's not how industry works. Industry works is people work. And they don't care what your politics are. They don't care what your personal belief systems are. They don't care what your values are. All they care about is, can you do the job? Can you do it in a timely manner? And can you do it in accordance with, you know, the law? That's it. And if you can do those things, you can have a job. That's how industries work. You know, what Erica's talking about isn't an industry. She's talking about a community. We're a community, and we want to be exclusive to certain mindsets, to certain beliefs, to certain values. And anything that does not comply with that must be excommunicated. And that's why it's okay to direct your, quote unquote, direct your anger at certain groups. You know, or she would call them the correct groups. But of course, there is no correct groups in this. There's the groups you agree with and the groups you don't. And in their mind, it's okay to go after the ones you don't and be just as racist, sexist, homophobic, bigoted, evil towards that group as you want, because, well, they're not part of us. So it's okay to treat, you know, treatment that, again, if you treated them this way, they would say is nothing but pure bigotry. But when they do it, it's okay because they're doing it to the quote-unquote correct group. Continuing. I know this was longer than I thought it would be, and I appreciate you for reading it. I guess what I'm trying to say in my loquacious manner is have some compassion for people who take jobs from companies you may not agree with. Just as you have to put food on your table, so do they. Well, so do the people you disagree with, Erica. So do the publishers you disagree with, Erica. So do all the people you hate, Erica. Everyone you hate, they need to put food on their table too. They need to have jobs. Where's your compassion? Just to say, well, I won't mess with you. I may not like you. I don't want to associate with you. I won't work with you. I won't support you. But you got to have a job, so I got to keep my nose out of that. But of course you don't. You're all for taking those people's jobs, just not when it's you. And that's the real problem, I think. And decisions have to be made that may not align with what you think is right. But those decisions are tough and complex, and doubly so for a freelancer. Again, the irony. I mean, the sheer utter blindness of how she can sit here saying all this stuff that has been said by so many others in Comicsgate and who've been against SJWs for years. They've been saying these exact same things. And here she is saying them for compassion for her and her Marxist allies, and yet they have none for anybody who isn't. And they don't see the hypocrisy. They're truly blind people, truly blind. I mean, it's just, I love it here at the end. And please have some compassion for others. We all need it, and we all need to be better about showing it. Really? Really, Erica? Are you going to start? So are you going to show it to Comicsgate? Are you going to show it to Cecil? Are you going to show it to Nick Barucci and Dynamite? No. Oh, why? Oh, well, they have views you don't like. They say things you don't like. Oh, so it's okay if you do it to people who you don't like. So then that means it's okay for us to do it to you? Oh, it's not? That means we're compassionless? Oh, but then how are you not compassionless for doing it to people you hate? Do you see the conundrums you have to get in, the mental gymnastics it requires to believe what these people do, to say these things that they say with a straight face, not realizing the irony and hypocrisy in everything they do? Here's Asher Elbin, a writer for... he said he was a writer for The Atlantic, but it turns out he wasn't. That was something he tried to play off on, and it didn't work out well for him. But he is a person in the media. And so here he comes in. If you're a creator with work at Dynamite, or one who has published at Dynamite in the past, and you'd like to talk about the company's increasing embrace of Comicsgate, you can reach me via DMs or email. On or off the record is fine. So here it is. He now wants to dig up dirt to further trash on Dynamite. You've had professionals attack them. You've had supposed readers attack them. You've had people in the media, the comics media, attack them. And now you have people in the media trying to bring it to a wider audience in the mainstream media. So I mean, so in the end, when scumbags like this are coming out to do you in, well, it really says something. And then here's more from Kwanzaa. Y'all seem to think I need comics more than I need women, BIPOC, and LGBTQIA creators to be able to make them free of marginalization, harassment, and threat for existing. I give negative fucks if anyone wants to work with me or buy my shit if it means the above are not abused. So right there, he's saying he doesn't care about sales. And he doesn't need comics. Well, if you don't need comics, Kwanzaa, then what the fuck you doing in here, fake holiday? Get the fuck out, boy. We don't need you. We don't need your anti-white hatred. We don't need your racism. We don't need your bigotry. Comics doesn't need you, buddy. It's not the other way around. It's not you don't need comics. Comics don't need you. But that's a lesson these people never seem to learn. So I will be a whole-ass problematic black person in comics if said industry is cool with a notable publisher supporting a known hate group. Batman ain't real person. Might want to calm down there, Kwanzaa, when you're writing like that and can't make any sense. But see, again, hate group. Once again, see, there it is again. Hate group. For what? Because they didn't want identity politics shoved into comics that they enjoyed. That's what Comicsgate is. People who say we don't want identity politics shoved where it doesn't belong into classic, iconic superheroes we have read for decades and have supported for decades, have entertained us for decades, who were based on being entertainment first. We don't want your bullshit, you know, like he says here, his whole ass problematic black person. See, he had to point out his race. You know, this is something that you didn't have to worry about when reading comics. You read comics to get away from this kind of shit. Not to have it thrown in your face. You know, that's the whole thing with all of this. Politics in general. Why do we have sports? Why do we have comics? Why do we have movies? Why do we have music? To get away from politics. That's the whole point. That is their purpose. That is why we love them. Because we need an escape from that stuff. You can't think politics 24/7 or you end up being like Fake Holiday here. That's the lesson to learn. And here's Kristen Ward, supposedly a cover artist for Dynamite, though I don't remember seeing their work. Disappointing to see who Dynamite have gotten in bed with. A shame, as I've enjoyed doing Red Sonja covers, but I won't work for a company who align themselves with Comicsgate. Well, then you shouldn't work in comics, dude. It's just that simple. Because basically what you're saying is I won't align with a company who puts consumers ahead of my political beliefs. That's basically what you're saying. So get the fuck out, buddy. No one will miss you. Here's Doc Shaner, another creator who's worked for Dynamite. Everybody, quick, while they're busy showing their ass with this Comicsgate bullshit, let's steal the King's features properties away from Dynamite. So here is an asshole trying to get their licensing deals screwed up. You know? Years later, and Flash Gordon is still one of my favorite projects I've been able to work on, but I have zero patience for this Comicsgate nonsense, and Dynamite cozying up with them is embarrassing to say the least. No, Doc, what's embarrassing is you being an asshole trying to bring down a company for working with someone you don't like. You know, that's what's embarrassing, Doc. And you don't see the hypocrisy in you being the hate movement that you claim Comicsgate is. That's the embarrassing part, Doc. You're the embarrassment. Believe it, buddy. You, Kwanzaa, all these other people, just get the hell out, guys. Get out of the industry. We don't need you. Eric Burnham, another one. I had lots of fun writing pulp stuff, had great editors and collaborators, but yeah, I want no truck with the nonsense. Well, the only nonsense is coming from the people you're siding with, Eric. So I guess you really do want the nonsense, because that's all you seem to be supporting. And here's AIPT, another group in the comics media. APIT stands against hatred and bigotry in the comics industry. Therefore, we will be ceasing coverage of Dynamite Entertainment as long as they continue to support and benefit from such groups. Well, then it's only because they sell to guys like you, and you know, work with guys like the ones I've shown here. There's the hate group. So I mean, if they benefit from working with you guys, what you're saying is they need to cut ties with you, not the other way around. So you know, but again, the hypocrisy. Here's another one, Xavier Files. As we expand our coverage, we won't be covering any Dynamite Comics publications while they are directly putting money in the pockets of racist, sexist, homophobic, and transphobic groups like Comicsgate. We urge other sites to do the same. So there it is again, calling on others, applying pressure to those who aren't them to do what they tell them. You know, we saw the guy, you know, we see the creators trying to screw up licensing deals for them. We see the reader who tried to get his comic shop to capitulate. Now you have those in the media attacking other media outlets, you know, basically telling them you better or else. You know, this is what these people do. This is how they operate. But of course, with all of this, it had to happen. In speaking with Cecil, neither one of us realized the cover would be so polarizing. We've discussed and are now moving. We're not moving forward with the cover or the campaign. Nick Barucci, CEO and publisher of Dynamite. To which, you know, I had to admonish him a little bit. You bend the knee to the Twitter mob, you deserve to go out of business. Sad, but it's your choice. You know, and there it is. So the cover that was to be done has been canceled. It was a crowdfunder. Only people who wanted to buy it supported it. You didn't have to buy it. You didn't have to support it. You weren't, there was nobody being forced to carry this cover. Retailers were not being forced to carry it the way they do at Marvel when they do Venom #1, the latest edition, with 20 different variant covers. You got to try to carry them all because they're going to force you to. No, there's none of that. It's a crowdfunder. And yet that wasn't good enough for these people. And yet, even in this, it's still not good enough, as you're about to see. Here's Fake Holiday again. Polarizing is a term white men can use about hate groups they shadow fund because they aren't targeted or affected by them. Nick Barucci did more than realize he saw a bunch of pay pigs and knows an industry that's been silent for too long about abuse. So, again, here it is. The cover is canceled. Does that satisfy these people? Well, nope. There's Kwanzaa. Nope. Here's another one. Tom Spielman. Cool, but you should A, never, ever, ever work with anyone from Comicsgate again, and B, internally investigate why you allowed this to happen. And who is this guy? Oh, look at this. He writes for CBR, Polygon, and Funimation. Oh, look, he, him pronouns. Yes, there you go, folks. Well, I tell you, it's predictable. Totally predictable. Shouty Human, BLM. It's not the cover. It's supporting Comicsgate. It's donating to their campaigns and showing up in their streams. I'm not buying anything Dynamite as long as anyone's there that supports CG. So again, see, once again, trying to dictate who you can do business, who you can even show up in their live streams. You can't even go to their live streams. Oh, you can't show up there. They're controlling every aspect of your life. They're controlling everything you say and do. And here it is, social justice sorcerer, he, him, bipolar. Yeah, I believe that. Alex, just Alex. Fuck you guys, truly. It was never about the cover, and you know that. Fucks Comicsgate and everyone that stands with them. And what's Alex? Oh, here he is. He, him. There it is. Of course. He, him. Certified himbo. And once again, the classic SJW smiley face. Of course. Of course. Here's another one. Queer villain archetype. Oh, the neckbeards in the comments, referring to the people who were commenting that Dynamite was wrong to cancel this crowdfunder. Love how Dynamite have totally fucked themselves. No good person wants to read them because of their association with fascists. No fascists want them because they buckled. Enjoy your shitty profit margins that you could have avoided by not being CG shitwits, except CG isn't fascist. You guys are the fascists. You're the ones who are demanding, who they can associate with, who they can do business with, whose live streams they can go to. You're the ones doing all this. But I love that, again, it's just pure projection with these people. They always accuse you of what they are guilty. And, trans, he, her. There you go. Of course. Of course. Are you surprised? Here's everyone's favorite shitbag, Richard Pace. The cover was the tipping point, not the issue. Align with a hate group is the issue, but he doesn't ally with you, Richard. He never will ally with assholes like you. That's why. So, again, Comicsgate isn't a hate group. But see, again, it keeps coming up. They keep, this is the way SJWs work. Just keep spouting the lie. Just keep saying it. And if you say it often enough, it becomes true, even though it's not true. This is their tactics. Here's D. Kunafi again. Ha! Watch all the supportive Gators lose their minds now. Watch them burn books and spew hate. But it's okay because it's all about making good comics. Well, D, you guys are the ones who were trying to cost the company their licenses, trying to, having all the media outlets, no longer support them or review their works, telling comic shops not to carry their work, telling them, you're not going to ever work for them ever again. Who's the one trying to burn things down and spew hate? People being upset that a book that they were planning to back being taken from them because assholes like you, I think they have more of a reason to be upset than you do. And here's the cover, folks. This is what set it all off right here. This image. There have been covers more salacious certainly on Dynamite Comics than this is. But again, has nothing to do with the cover. That's the one thing that they've said that was true, is this has never been about the cover. This has always been about associations. This is about trying to blackball certain people and trying to control others. That is what this is about. This cover represented their loss of that control. And by cucking to them, Dynamite has given it back. And, you know, that one SJW was right. They've got the worst of both worlds, because the people who are against them, they're never going to forget you supported Comicsgate in any way, even with just a variant cover. It doesn't matter. Going to a live stream, whatever. Anything you did, they're never going to forgive you for any of that. So you're not going to get their support. And the people who were supporting this cover, I remember when I saw the crowdfunder, it was up to about $11,000 in 24 hours. One day, it'd only been up one day and already got almost $11,000. And now they've lost all that and more, because now people will not support it, because they know that, well, if I like something, I go to support it, and if some asshole SJW complains about it, they'll get it canceled. So why would I want to bother supporting a company that will buckle under that way? That makes no sense. So, again, the worst of both worlds. But it doesn't end here even. You would think after all this, you know, well, maybe it'll calm down. Nope. Now we get Tom the Cuck King, ruiner of Batman comics. Today, DC put out an alternate cover to Rorschach by Jay Lee, who has also done covers for Comicsgate, a hate group. Oh, there it is again. DC does not consult creators on alternate covers. I reached out to them to express my deep disappointment. As far as I'm concerned, this is the cover to Rorschach #1. Now here it is. He's trying to get Jay Lee canceled because he did a variant cover to a book he's working on. And since he didn't get to decide if he should be allowed to or not, he's pissed off because he did a cover for Ethan Van Sciver's current book, Cyberfrog Wrecked Planet, which has grossed, as of right now, about, you know, well over $1 million. And, you know, that's a success in anybody's book. I mean, to say you did the cover to the most successfully crowdfunded comic book of all time, I mean, that's a feather in your cap. You think that'd be something to be proud of, but he's making it something bad because, well, Ethan Van Sciver on Comicsgate, because Tom King is another SJW asshole who has attacked the fans and attacked consumers. And when they call him out, oh, well, now you're a hate group. But see, the hate comes from people like Tom King attacking Jay Lee, who by the way, has no association with Comicsgate outside of that cover. He did that cover for Ethan because Ethan asked him to, because 20 years ago, he did a cover on a Cyberfrog book when Cyberfrog was being published at Harris Comics in the late 90s. And so Ethan thought it would be great to get Jay Lee to come back and do a Cyberfrog cover again, you know, sort of like a retrospective in a way. That's all it was. There was no thing about like he believes everything Ethan believes and he's on Comicsgate. But again, it doesn't matter. See, any tangential connection is all it takes. But then, of course, Tommy Boy has to backpedal this. I spoke with Jay. He's not on Twitter, didn't know about Comicsgate existed, and doesn't support hate of any kind. We're all good. Best possible outcome. Except it isn't, because this is all being done right here. This is Tommy Boy doing this. Why? Because he got called out for being a racist. You see, Jay Lee is a minority. So here he is trying to cancel a minority creator. A creator who is one of those quote-unquote marginalized peoples that they're always so protective of. And yet he tried to cancel him for associations with someone he doesn't like. And he was getting called out for bigotry and racism. And so now he had to backpedal. You see, but of course, this isn't going to matter because this response isn't going to get near the amount of traffic that the first one did, is it? The accusation will always outlive any kind of, you know, repudiations or corrections or clarifications down the line. You know, so Jay Lee will now suffer in his career because of Tom King. Tom King, who, by the way, is a former CIA operative who was involved with some of the, let's say, ne'er-do-well things that were happening over in Iraq and Afghanistan a decade ago. You know, but of course, he won't tell you about any of that stuff. He don't want you talking about that. Instead, you know, focus on Jay Lee doing a Cyberfrog cover because Comicsgate hate. You know, this is, like I said, this is the thing about these people. They do all these things, you know, never never thinking about what they're actually doing, because it doesn't hurt them, so it's only to their benefit to do it. And this is the cover by J.E. Lee for Rorschach #1. I mean, I wasn't going to buy the book because it's Tom King writing it, and Tom King's writing sucked. I've read his Batman. It sucks. So there's no way I want to watch him destroy Rorschach too. But again, this cover, nothing wrong with that cover. Nothing wrong with J.E. Lee doing it. You know, even if he were Comicsgate, which he isn't, but even if he were, so what? It's just a cover. It's not hurting anybody. See, but this is the thing. These people aren't about right and wrong. They aren't about fair or unfair. They aren't about any of the things they claim: inclusivity, equality, you know, representation, all those buzzwords. They ain't about any of that. They're about one thing: power and control over others. That's all it is. That's all it is. They want to be able to destroy anyone they don't like with impunity, and yet be seen as virtuous for having done so. But it all kind of goes to this right here. Now, some of you may be wondering what this is. This is a chart that was done by a group that's supposedly for African American, an African American museum or something, like a national African American museum that supports, you know, Black history and that kind of thing. And here they're trying to trash white people and white culture, as they call it. See, whiteness and white culture. And look at the things they give it to them: rugged individualism, you know, emphasis on the scientific method, objective, rational, linear thinking. Oh, that's so awful. You know, Protestant work ethic, hard work is the key to success. Work before play. Oh my goodness, so awful. These people. You know, we got the family structure, the nuclear family, mother, father, 2.3 children is the ideal social unit. I mean, all these things, they're blasting this stuff as negative. This is the thing. You hear all this stuff and you think, well, that all sounds like great stuff. That's how you build a good society. Well, it is if you're according to them, if you're a racist, basically. If you support these things, you're a racist. You're a racist if you believe in the scientific method and using objectivity and you know, rational thinking. You know, you're a racist if you want, you know, the nuclear family as the key model for, you know, building a society. You know, rugged individualism and a Protestant work ethic. Well, those are racist. You're racist for believing that stuff. You know, time, follow rigid time schedule. Time viewed as time viewed as a commodity, and it is. You know, time is money. We've all heard that before. And my time is valuable. You know, you got things you got to do, and hey, you know, there's only so much time in a day, and can't do everything, so you got to manage that time. But again, this is being seen as negative, and again, this goes to your SJWs. You know, they believe certain things, and if you don't believe them, well, then you're evil. Just the way this group that later pulled this, by the way, this African American Museum group pulled this later, claiming that they didn't realize it would be so, you know, it wasn't bringing about the kind of discussion they wanted. Because instead of discussing how evil white people are, it discussed how racist they were, and they didn't like that too much. Isn't that amazing? When the racism charge is coming at you, all of a sudden it's, oh, you can't have that. But, you know, that's how these people are. That's how they think, just like this. This is what they do. You know, and it's, you know, it really just stymies me that they're like that. It really does. You know, because I just, I don't know, I guess what I want is for them to see the hypocrisy in what they're doing and what they're saying. But I don't think they ever will. I don't think they ever can, because they're too invested in their narrative. They're too invested in what they believe, and they're never going to see anything else. They're never going to see anything other. But you know, there are ways to handle them. You know, you saw the wrong way, courtesy of Dynamite. They gave you the wrong way to do it. But there is someone who did give you the correct way to do it. And I'm going to show you that here in a second. There it is. Share. And I'm just gonna wait for it to come up here. There we go. This is a from Bounding into Comics. Whoops. You see here, She creator Bill Tucci tells Neo Code SJWs to go to hell. And that's exactly what you do. Now, I'm not going to go through all of this article here. I'm just going to hit the high notes here with Bill Tucci. He goes, I told the Comics Code Authority to go to hell back in 1994, and today I say the same to the cancerous Neo Code SJWs. They are ticks upon our industry who have doxed me and threatened my family. So much so, the FBI took it serious enough to come to our house, and over what? So again, see, remember Kwanzaa was complaining about being doxxed. Well, here's Bill Tucci, who has been doxxed. He's Comicsgate. So what the hell? And so he actually has stuff to back it up with. He can back it up with like proof that the FBI came to his house. Kwanzaa makes the claim, but we saw from the picture, ain't nobody gives a shit who he is. But here, Bill Tucci had to get the FBI involved. You will never find me saying a bad thing about anyone in comics. I will never bend a knee to your cancel culture fascism or attempted gatekeeping. I'm an indie creator and you don't matter enough to ever cancel me. I am She Strong and Fury Strong. Hashtag Neocode, hashtag Comics Code Authority. And in a way, I like this. I like his view of this, how he's portraying them as the Comics Code Authority, which is very much in the same vein as these SJWs. They want to control what you have access to. The Comics Code try to control within the comics industry what you could see, what you could write, what you could draw, what stories you could tell and publish. And these SJWs, they do very much the same thing. I told the Comics Code Authority to go fuck themselves in 1994, and now I say the same to these cancerous Neocode SJWs. I'm Billy fucking Tucci, and I'm here to entertain. If you agree, please follow me. Hashtag tally-ho. Yeah, preach it, Billy boy, preach. Can I get an amen? Hallelujah. But this is how you handle it, folks. This is what you tell these people. You tell them to go fuck themselves. That's what you do. That is how you handle cancel culture. This is what you do. Don't be, and it'll be tough. I'm not going to lie to you. It will be tough. They're going to come at you hard. They're going to try to destroy everything about you. All your relationships, your work, your professionalism, all of it. They're going to try to destroy it all if they can, because that's what these people are. They are evil. They are evil personified. They are in this story. They are the supervillains. They are the supervillains, and they should always be seen as such. This is what you do. This is how you deal with them. And that's that. But there's also another way to deal with them, and we're going to show you that right here. In just a moment. There we go. Here it is. This is Cecil's Indiegogo cash grab. Does that cover look familiar? You see, this is what you do, folks. This is how you turn it around on these assholes. So you get my Dynamite cover canceled? Fine. I'll get my cover remade in another way and use it there. And you saw when I noted that guy, at the time, it only made $175,000. Here now, we're almost up to $215,000. $40,000 more. That's $40,000 that could have went to Dynamite Comics instead. That's $40,000 they passed up, that they threw away, because they wanted to kowtow to SJWs. And if you want to see, here's the original cover. Wait, that's not it. Yeah, there it is. This is the original cover. The cash grab. And now this is the cover that you can get with Heather Swain from Cyberfrog, and this is Lilith from John Malin's crowdfunded success story, Graveyard Shift. So this is something that Ethan Van Sciver talked about. He said that from this point on, that with Comicsgate, what you need to do is you need to find a way to do it all on your own. You can't associate with people who are weak. Like Dynamite. Dynamite had weak spots, like their licensing that they have, and the distribution and being part of the mainstream and having, to sell in comic shops and, all these points where SJWs can attack them. As you saw, they attacked them by using the comics media, trying to not cover them. They attacked them by trying to get the licensors to take the licensing away. They tried to attack them by getting comic shops not to carry their work. These are all weak points that you can be hit on by an SJW. And he's saying in Comicsgate now we need to just work with each other and push each other up and become, impervious to them. They can't hurt Ethan Van Sciver. They can't touch him. He's already made over $1 million on his latest Cyberfrog book. He can't be hurt by them, and they know it. So that's why they'll go after someone like Cecil, or they go after someone like Nick Barucci, because Ethan has done covers for Dynamite's books too. So, they'll go after those people that are, orbiting him. Why? To hurt him. Because we can't hurt you, so we'll hurt those around you. I mean, these people are ultimately, like I said, they are truly, truly evil people. But, I would say, hey, stick it in their eye, support a book like Cash Grab, or Cyberfrog 2 Wreck Planet, or Graveyard Shift Volume 3 that just started this week from John Malin. Support the people they hate. That's the way you stick it to the SJWs. Make them more successful, and then go out and do your own thing. Learn from these guys' example and create your own stuff and make yourself impervious as you possibly can, because that's the way you'll beat them. This is how you do it, folks, right here. This is how you do it. They're showing you, they're laying that groundwork. This is what you do. But, as I said, there's more going on here than just them attacking a comic or Cecil or whatever. There's more reasons to this than just the fact that it's Comicsgate. Now, someone had mentioned that they think it was because of the Whisper Network story that we saw last time. You guys remember that, don't you? Remember the Whisper Network's tale where, we found out that the Whisper Network was actually real? Well, this is part of the reason I think they attacked. But there's another part that I think is kind of being buried a little bit. And it's something else that happened this month. And we're going to show you that here. Now here you're looking at this, probably wondering, well, what is this about? This is a quote tweet of mine from Brian Azzarello, very famous comic book writer, wrote Batman, wrote 100 Bullets, wrote, Superman, wrote a lot of things. He takes my quote here and says, "That's nice you enjoy the lower quality stuff of today, but comics of the past are vastly superior product. The fact more than a few comic shops have said back issues are the only thing keeping them open pretty much proves today's comics are not that good." To which Azzarello, trying to be an asshole because he's a dickhead, says, "Fans back then were better too." So I had to blast him back with, "So were the creators and makers of the comics." Now you're wondering, what's all this about? What's this have to do with people attacking Dynamite Comics and making them cuck and taking away the Cecil cover? Well, it goes back to this. This is artist Dan Panosian. And he wrote, "Guess what? Comic books are awesome. Pass it on." To which, of course, I replied. I said, "Older ones? Yes. The art form? Absolutely. Current ones? Not so much." So he asked me my favorite genres, and I give him, my favorites. And then he asked when I was in a comic book store last, and I told him. And then I asked him, why is he asking me all this? And he goes, "I think comic books as a whole is better than it's ever been. Lots of variety and talent out there. I'm just curious and wondering if there's a title or titles you might enjoy." And I said, "Didn't say there was nothing I could enjoy, but compared to the past, the work is not better. It's much more bland, homogenized, and lacking in actual entertainment value. It's more interested in pushing agendas and narrative than entertaining a mass audience. Very sad." And then he replies, I love crime books, and I think the comic books today outshine ones from the past. I'm just sad I won't be seeing any more Darwin Cook, but I really love what Brubaker and Sean Phillips do. Brian Azzarello always delivers, which is why Brian Azzarello got involved at all. And I can't get enough." And I said, and that's where my point comes in about, how I'm glad that he enjoys the lower quality today, but the older stuff is better. And the fact that, so many shops are saying back issues are keeping them alive and keeping the doors open rather than new issues, which has always been the lifeblood of any comic book store, is a very telling thing. But of course, then we have to get noodle heads coming in Here's one here, Grant Watson. Are you suggesting more than a few is a majority? You know, as if to like try to say my point is irrelevant, but of course it isn't. So I tell him, I'm not saying, I'm saying in the past you didn't see any comic shops saying they couldn't make it without back issues. They could make the rent selling new stuff. Now you have ones who can't, and that proves new comics are not better than the old ones. And I think that absolutely proves that. You know, but again, here's another one, Alan Sharp. The local shops in my area thrive on new material and trade collections of recent arcs, not old back issues. DC Black Label has been great. Marvel Max is also good stuff for adults. Mark Miller puts out consistently good work also, etc. Notice though, all these things he lists are all for adults. You know, when we all know that you need to get new readers, and new readers are kids. You notice he wasn't worried about that. Very telling. But again, I give him the scope. I tell him, I say, that's nice for your local shops. That's not the case for everyone. The current comics are not better than the old stuff. The shops closing proves it. The low sales units prove it. The lack of enthusiasm many comic readers have for them proves it. You know, these are all things that are quantifiably provable and have been many times. Which then we get this guy, Nicholas Lawrence Carter. Every single bit of this is hearsay. None of what you said is proven, except it has been proven. Simply because your small circle of closed-minded buddies might believe this doesn't make it true. Show evidence, prove it. I've been reading comics for 26 years. I've never liked them more than now. How funny. Me and my closed circle of closed-minded buddies. You know, our experiences, our stories, our anecdotes, stuff we've talked to people about, we've heard people say, that doesn't prove anything, but yet his liking them more now than he has in his 26 years of reading them, that somehow means, oh no, they're better than ever, just by him. I mean, again, you see the mentality of the people. They're just so in denial of what's actually happening. The evidence is there for you to see. Google search shops saying back issues keep them open. Look at the unit numbers over the last few years compared to, say, 2000. The facts are all there. I can't help it if you just don't want to see them. And that's absolutely true. So I took time out to actually dig up some evidence. So this right here that you're seeing, this is from the top 300 listing of comics from April of 2000. You know, the cover prices here alone should tell you that this is old information. Now, I want you to take a close look here. Look at this. About 41,000 for the one right there at the top, all the way down to 35,000. 41 to 35. So it's like a 6,000. It's a little less than 6,000 difference between the rankings, and you can see where the numbers are. Okay, now keep note of those, because coming up next here, these are the numbers from the same chart, only for February of this year, February of 2020. And you see here, 38,000 to 29,000. So that's 9,000 difference between, and not only that, but again, if we go back real quick here, again, look, 38 and 29, and here, 41 and 35. So the individual unit sales in these rankings, each individual is not just lower from where they were in 2000, but the gap between the range is larger as well. So, I mean, this right here tells the story. And, this is with much higher cover prices. And they're selling less than ever. And 2000 was not a great year for comics. That was actually what people saw as a cratering out from the speculator bubble that popped in the mid-90s. So, I hit him with these numbers, and he goes, and the point of these pictures is, you do realize that in 2000, only 300 titles are accounted for, and in 2020, there are 522. What market do you know inflates by almost 50%, but is also in decline with proprietors shutting down? I'll help you out. The answer is there aren't any, except there is any. There is the comic book industry, and I again try to hit them with facts, and that's why they are shutting down. They can't sell the shit books of today. And 2000 was when the burst speculator bubble cratered. That was seen as comics' lowest ebb then. Yet the numbers show that the unit sales have decreased even more since then. Flooding the shelves with crap books that no one wants isn't helping the comic shops. It's only helping to kill them. And that That's part of why the shops, you would now have shops saying things like back issues are keeping our doors open. But as I said, I knew you'd ignore and brush aside the numbers. Thanks for running true to form and proving me right on that too. I do appreciate it. You see, you got to understand how these people think. You know, when he asked for evidence, he'd already made his conclusion. He was never, ever going to accept anything that goes against the preconceived notion that he believes already. You know, from his 26 years of reading, and I love him more now than I did when I started. You know, that's what these guys do. They don't want actual discussion. They don't want actual facts. They just want confirmation bias. Your facts don't fit into my confirmation bias, therefore your facts are irrelevant. You see how I try to just brush them aside? And so it comes in again. You also conveniently chose February of 2020. See, you tried to bring in COVID, but we all know the February numbers got nothing to do with COVID. COVID didn't hit until mid-March. So even the March numbers probably wouldn't be negatively affected. Nice try at being slick there, except I wasn't slick. Unfortunately for you, these numbers do not prove your point. The top 10 from April 2000 sold units totals 858,570. From 2020, it's 830,301. 29,269 units equates to a decline in sales that shut shops. Yes, it does. But you can't trust the top 10, and I tell them why. Those are the last pre-COVID numbers. I didn't want you using that as an excuse, even though you are trying here. And the top 10 means little. Many anomalies there. What you need to watch is the mid-tier books, like the ones I listed. That tells you the real story, and it's not good. And that's exactly true. You can't trust the top 10 because there's all kinds of anomalies. You got, maybe an issue sold more because it was an anniversary issue. So you can't trust that number because next month's issue won't be up that high. Or maybe it was a relaunch of a number one. Number ones always get more attention. Or maybe it was one that had 50,000 variant covers today. And of course, certain variant covers will get more play than others. And, so there's all kinds of anomalies you can get in top 10 that explains why that book is there. It's the mid-tier you saw, like in the 30s and the 40s. That's where the true health of the industry is shown, is in those numbers. That's what you want to pay attention to. But that's what guys like him don't want to pay attention to, and they want to sidestep because they know that those numbers do not reflect well for what they want you to believe. And you'll see that coming up here in a second. Many anomalies there. Nice deflection. You didn't take the time to add the numbers, did you? Except I did. And even with his adding of the numbers, it came out almost 30,000 less from the top 10 in 2020 than it was in 2000. So I mean, right there, I mean, he's stupid. You have not proven your point. To anyone who bothers to actually look, you have proven the opposite. And I said, no, my point has been proven. Sales of comics now are lower than they were at what was called the lowest point 20 years ago. The industry would love to have those numbers today, but they can't and won't because the product's quality is not as good. Sorry, no gotcha for you. And then again, he just once again misses the point. The industry would die with those numbers today. The data you provided shows that. No, the data I provide shows that these numbers today are killing them. Every comic is priced higher and higher than the actual inflation rate, and they sell almost identically as the data you provided shows, except they didn't sell identical, did they? There was a difference of 9,000 between those groupings I shown. A difference of 9,000 today, where it was only less than 6,000 20 years ago. And even his, using the top 10, showed a difference of 30,000 less now than in 2000. So the numbers don't prove that. And they prove my point, which is, of course, he can't accept. This is the disconnect, the cognitive dissonance of people who have already decided in their minds what the facts are. So I hit him up with it. Higher cover prices to cover the flagging sales. Yep, that's my point. Sales suck because the work is poor quality, and the numbers of sales are not identical. It's from 10 to 15% less now than in 2000. But again, I know you don't care about the numbers, just your narrative. And that's exactly the point. That's exactly what these people do. So then another guy steps in, this one with an actual shop himself, and he tries to bring in, sales numbers. And he goes, Comic sales to stores in 2000 were 210 million. In 2019, they were 530 million. We're going to see some more on this kind of stuff in a moment. Increased cover prices would account for most of that, but add today's mass market sales, which is 50% of industry sales, and total sales so far surpassed 2000's numbers. Ultimately, more comics are being sold to more people today than they were in 2000 and almost any other decade, and that's only North America. I'd say so, but he's wrong. It's not being sold more, and I explain why here. Not really. The sales numbers are down. Look at the mid-tier figures from 2000 to 2020. That's the core. That's what matters. Not only are the numbers lower, but the amount of difference in the numbers from one title to the next is larger too, showing greater loss between rankings. You noted the dramatic price increases since 2000, well above inflation, along with the predatory practices on their retail partners, like 20 different variant covers and relying on milestone issues, accounts for the difference in the dollars generated, but units are consistently down. This is why they are scrambling for new venues to get books into, like Scholastics and Walmart and bookstores. They are abandoning the comic shops to wither and die on the vine. Despite us being told everything is fine, it most certainly is not. That's why we have the new phenomena of shops saying back issues are keeping them open. You didn't have that. Didn't have shops in the 80s saying, thank God for those 50s and 60s comics, but you have ones today saying that about 80s and 90s comics. This shows the health of the industry isn't good. The higher prices and predatory practices on retailers is them trying to grab every last dime they can from the direct market before they dump it and move on. And that's not the actions of a healthy industry. And that's exactly true. This is exactly the point. When we all talk about the death of the comic industry, what we're talking about is the direct market, the comic shops that have been the standard for the last 4 decades, okay? This is what we're talking about. And as you see, those numbers, I've shown them, you saw the numbers here, I've showed you numbers in the past, it's all down. Yeah, they're putting out more books than ever, but so what? No one's buying them. You know, who cares if you're putting out 300 books a month or 500 books a month? If nobody's buying, if you're getting less returns while increasing your prices, well, that's not a sign of a healthy industry. That's a sign of the opposite. You know, they want to incorporate all these other things into it, though, to try to make it look like things are healthy. They're bringing in things like manga. They're bringing in things like YA novels. They're bringing in things like crowdfunding. They're bringing in digital. Both of those two, which didn't even exist in 2000. So you couldn't factor them in to anything. We're talking just about the direct market comic shop distribution model that has been running for 40 years. And by that standard, that is dying. The shops are dying. The distribution system is dying. The direct market is dying. There is no question about it. The only people who refuse to accept this are either idiots that don't understand the numbers or liars with an agenda and a narrative to push that has to refute those numbers. The reason for these loss of units is poor quality work, constant rebooting, endless events, and trying to compete with video games and movies, and poor online behavior by pros towards consumers. This has driven away the mainstay comic reading base with no replacement for them. The numbers don't lie, and neither do I. Comics as a medium will survive, but the direct market and many smaller publishers, not so much. And the big guys are already looking for lifeboats to jump ship to. People can ignore this all they want. It won't change the reality. That is the absolute hard truth. Now you're saying, what does all this got to do with Dynamite and Cecil? This is what they're trying to cover up. This is why they're doing it. These numbers that came out in July that showed the numbers from Comic-Con for all of 2019 were not good. And they know this, despite the fact they're trying to play off like it is. They know it's not good. You know, here's another guy comes in. I own a comic shop, and I can assure you back issues don't keep me going. Most back issues are worth next to nothing. Only ones pre-1970 are worth holding. Most of the ones from the 70s, 80s, 90s are worth pennies. Comic shop these days rely on other items, bags, toys, games, etc. And said, as I've told others, that's nice for you, but you are not the industry. I've heard from others who do say this, and the point is that never in the history of comic shops has this ever been said. It was always new comics that were the lifeblood of the stores. Now it's not. See, again, which is someone who's refusing to accept, because even he has to admit that it's other items, what is it, Funko Pop dolls and, toys and games and all, Magic the Gathering cards and all this stuff that comic shops have brought in because the new comics don't sell. So whether he wants to say that back issues don't matter for his shop and so that should be representative of everybody, doesn't even matter. He still makes my point, saying it's not new comics that keep comic shops open. It's other things. It's back issues. It's toys. It's games. It's Funko Pop dolls. It's all this other stuff. That's why they have it in there. That's why they have those items in. That's why it's hard to find what I would call a quote unquote true comic shop today. That is basically just comics. You go in there and you find comics. That's what you find there. You find comics, 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 comics. You find very few shops like that anymore today because they can't make it on just the comics. They could in the 80s. They can't today. And again, that's a damning thing for the industry. Now, here's someone comes in trying to bring some sanity to all this. Why are you cheering at losses? And he goes, the floppy format in 2018 was 360 million, and now in 2019 was 355 million. And then he also brings in the digital formats that are also down, and then the graphic novels, which includes manga, Dogman, YA, and etc. Those are up. So when you bring in other things that aren't American Western comic books, the direct market, when you bring in all these other things that aren't part of that, then yeah, numbers go up. And then here's Tim Seeley, a comic book creator. Comics are comics. I don't know why I have to preface it. Well, you don't, because comics aren't just comics, Tim. Manga is not the same as American comics. YA is not the same as American comics. A children's type book like Dogman is not the same as a comic. The fact that you guys are dragging all this stuff in, to pump up those numbers is the telling thing of how bad this is. That's why you're doing that. But again, he can't admit that reality. And because I tell him, actually they aren't. If they were, they'd all be selling well. That manga and YA are kicking your superhero making ass should tell you that you are doing something wrong. But you're too blind and prideful to see it. And I think that's the case with a lot of these creators. They've burned a lot of bridges. They've insulted fans for years. They've attacked them. They helped create Comicsgate, for God's sake. And now because all these chickens are finally coming home to roost financially, with poor stories that are all about identity politics that nobody wants to read, trashing iconic characters, altering them in ways that should never have been done, not reversing course in any of that, getting in artists that don't draw well, Tumblr artists who should be doing scribbles on their online, blogs, not for professional publishers, all this stuff, lower quality, higher prices, bad behavior by professionals, all this stuff comes together. It's a perfect storm, and you got down sales, unit sales dropping consecutively for 5 years straight. And now we see that the actual dollar numbers are taking hits in the regions that matter. And now they want to try, we got to bring in all this other stuff so we can say everything's okay. And it's not okay. Here's Ethan Van Sciver. And of course, that was in 2019, prior to COVID and all of the radical changes of 2020. Let's be specific. American superhero comics and the direct market are dying. That's the field that most of us work in. Meanwhile, again, Comicsgate and crowdfunding comics are up by 25%, which is absolutely true too. Those numbers you saw in the previous post that the guy was referencing to him, they show that crowdfunding is up 25% from 2018, which was, I believe, 2018 was the first year they brought crowdfunding into the totals. And it is up 25% from 2018 to 2019. And yes, Comicsgate is a substantial, if not entirely, a substantial part of that. So yes, that's the thing. You see, there it is. You saw with Cecil's book that I showed you here, Cash Grab. Here's a book that's made over $200,000 as of right now. They wish they saw those kind of numbers for the books they're pumping out, but they don't. So once again, Tim Seeley tries to Tim Seeley tried to sidestep it. Sure, and we'll see what 2020 brings, which of course they're going to claim now when the numbers are down again. Oh, it's all because of COVID-19. It's COVID's fault. Even though, 5 years in a row of down, 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 doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. They'll blame COVID for this year. We already know this. So it doesn't even matter what 2020 brings. It was going to be down anyway, but now they have cover for it. And that's what dickheads like Tim Seeley are going to use when those numbers come out. What I've heard is that many stores were a little surprised that it wasn't catastrophic yet. That's because of the PPP, the money to small business loans from the government because of COVID. That's what's keeping the publishers going. That's what's keeping the distributor going. That's what's keeping the comic shops going, is them getting PPP money from the government. The minute that gravy train stops, you're going to see the catastrophe he's talking about that he says hasn't happened yet. It's going to happen because they're not doing anything to improve the comics and improve people wanting to buy comics, bringing people back to buying comics. They've changed nothing. They are on the same track they were before COVID, and it's going to end up in the same place. The only thing that saved them is the PPP money from the government, and that's not going to last. So yeah, we'll see what that brings. But I don't and have never primarily worked in superheroes. The market for trades is up. That's good for me. That's good for comics. No, actually, it's not. And again, that even if you want to try to say it does, that just speaks to me, to what I said about older issues, old stuff. He says trades are up. Well, what trades? Trades from like last year or trades from stuff from like 20 years ago? Because when you look at like the figures on those I've seen, when they show you like the top 20 selling trades of 2019, 3, 4, 5 of them at least are going to be from like 20 or 25 years ago. Watchmen's in there, Dark Knight Returns is in there, classics that everybody knows and everybody loves and everybody's read. So they're the ones making the money. So the old stuff that already has made the money is still making money. Meanwhile, a lot of this new junk isn't selling. So Ethan hits him up here. The trades market upswing is largely comprised of manga and YA, young adult, which is true. Start writing romance novels. Yeah, that's about what you could say there. Is you better get into doing some manga or YA stuff, because if you stick with American comics, Western comics, then you're not going to be surviving too well. So then Tim Seeley comes in with, this weird view of comics as superheroes only is a real bummer. And I go, not when you see the success of the movies and TV with them. People love them, but they don't love the comics, the source material that they come from. You'd think you idiots would clue in at some point, but instead just glom onto others' success and say it's yours. That's pathetic. And it is. That's exactly what they're doing. They're trying to say the success from the Japanese manga, the success from YA, the success from crowdfunding, all those things, that's us. No, it's not you. You are down, down, down. But you can't accept that fact. And you're going to find out why in a moment here. Here's Ethan Van Sciver once more. When he replied to Tim's thing, he goes, says you, I love superheroes, and so do most humans. They're just not going to comic shops to buy the superhero comics being made by this generation of comic book creators. A whole other audience is buying a whole different product, and the mainstream is trying to claim the credit. That's about the YA and manga. Yes. People love the Avengers, Batman, Spider-Man, but the comic sucks. They'll get their fix from the movies and TV and buy manga instead. Sad. It is. It truly is sad. And so I come in with, and that's why losers like Tim here are glomming onto manga and YA sales and saying, see, comics are doing great. Meanwhile, American superhero comics and the direct market wither and die on the vine. They can't admit the truth because doing so will expose their culpability in it. And that's what it comes down to. They know the numbers are bad. They know that sales are bad. They know the industry is dying. They know that the books don't sell. They know that the shops are closing. And they know that they have culpability in all this. But they can't accept that. They refuse to believe that they have to take responsibility for it. And so rather than do that, let's go attack Dynamite Comics for doing a comic book cover with Cecil. Do you see that it's a distraction? Let's go attack Jay Lee for doing a variant cover because he actually worked with Ethan Van Sciver doing his cover for Cyberfrog. This is what these people do. This is why they're doing it. The truth is right here in your faces. The sales are down. The sales suck. The sales are no good for anybody. And, you know, they know this. They know this. And they can't accept it, because if they accept the reality of what this is, if they look at that and go, well, gee, I guess that means that we're kind of responsible for this. Well, then that means now they have to take responsibility for it. And they can't do it. They won't do it. They're afraid to do it. They can't. It's just not possible for them. And in case you think I'm making all this up, oh, you're just lying. You got your numbers from some, you know, less than reputable place. I'm going to show you the actual numbers here. We're going to look at these, because I want you to see this. This is not just something where it's like just this year was bad. Oh, just 2019 was bad. No. This has been going on for a while. Okay, here we are. This is Comicron. This is, you know, comic history by the numbers. There it is. And here's the thing they always try to champion out. Here's these polls you see with, oh, it's 1.21 billion. Oh, it's better than ever. Yeah. You know, if you look at it, you know, see right here, North American comic sales by format: graphic novels, 756 million, comic books, 355 million. That's the floppy books, the ones you see at the shop. And then, of course, digital comics, 90 million. Now, that's from this past year, 2019. See, and if you look at this by format across time, here you are. Look at this. Look at this. The trades seem to be keep going up, but look at this. Look at the red is the digital comics. They seem flat. And the classic comic book list, down, 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 down. Going down. This is not something that I made up. These are not made up numbers. This is the reality of the situation. Now we're gonna look at some more. I'm gonna bring up another one here, because again, like I said, I want you to see this for yourselves. I don't want you to just take my word for it. Don't just believe me. You know, always question everybody. Listen to what they say, but be skeptical until they bring you facts. And that's what I'm bringing you, is facts. Here we are with 2018, the year before. Now you can see here, as we scroll down, you can see there was a growth in the graphic novel format, because it's only 635 here. Last time was 735, so that's a growth. But here, comic books, 360 million. It was only 355 in 2019. That's down 5 million. And of course, digital was down, as you can see here. Digital is down as well. But there is the yellow. This is the one we got to wear. This is what we always talk about. The yellow bar, that's the comic book industry. That's when we say the comic industry is dying. This is what we're talking about. That bar right there. Because that bar is about American comics sold in comic shops. That's what this is. So there it is. But you know, from 2018, you're like, oh well, but it's only a small decrease. It's only $5 million. It's not that bad. You know, it could be anything. Okay, well then we'll take a look at some more numbers, because again, like I said, I want you to see that I'm not making any of this up. You know, I am someone who has paid very much attention to all this stuff, because it matters. And here we are. These are the numbers from 2016. Now we're talking from 3 years before. And here we are. What's it? 90 million for, you know, right there. So the digital sales are today in 2019, the last numbers, the same as they were in 2016 from 3 years ago. Graphic novels, again, up again, because, you know, here it's only 590 million. So, you know, even in 2018 they were up, and now in 2019 they were up. And yet here, comic books, $405 million. That's $50 million less just 3 years later. $50 million of losses in 3 years. In just 3 years. You know, this is what I'm talking about. This is what these people have done. They have killed their industry. They have destroyed it. The numbers don't lie. The numbers tell the story. This is what they do. This is how they operate. You know, and this is all the stuff you see happening, all the stuff where they attack Comicsgate, where they attack Dynamite, they attack Cecil, they attack J. Lee. It's all distraction from this. It's all distraction from these horrible numbers that they know they are at least in part responsible for, and they cannot accept it. So rather than accepting their culpability, let's instead just attack people and say they're the problem. The problem isn't us going around insulting consumers. The problem is confiscators getting a variant cover for a crowdfunder with Dynamite. That's the problem. You know, these people, they don't care. But again, these people, a lot of them are Marxists. They don't care about money. They don't care about business. They don't care about equality or inclusivity or any of those stuff they tell you. They don't care about anything except power over others. That's what this is about. It's all about control. They want to control what people are allowed to think, what they're allowed to say, what they're allowed to do, who they're allowed to associate with. They want to control all these aspects. You know, again, comics today are a microcosm of what you see in the real world. You know, the attack on Dynamite is the equivalent of seeing one of these riots in one of these major cities you're seeing on the news all the time, in Portland or in Seattle or in Milwaukee. That's where you're seeing all this stuff. That's what these attacks are. They're a distraction. Why? Because the people in power in those cities, they've failed the people. The cities are broke. You know, they can't manage the COVID crisis. They can't manage their finances. You know, they can't. They're just. So we need more control, and so we'll attack. We'll attack anyone who doesn't. You know, so you can go out and protest for BLM about somebody. You know, about their shit. But if you want to protest the government lockdowns, oh, you can't do that. And if you do, you got to be crushed. You see what I'm saying? They're deciding you got to wear a mask. You can't go anywhere without wearing a mask. You can't have a haircut because, well, we can't risk it. You know, they're deciding for me. I can't have a haircut. Who are you to tell me I can't have a haircut? If my hairdresser wants to do it, that's one thing. The person who cuts the hair, they say, well, I'm choosing. That's one thing. But when you're going to mandate everybody, say, you know, it doesn't matter who you are, even if you're okay with it, we don't care. You know, that's bigotry. I mean, that's what Jim Crow laws were. You know, back in the day, back in like the 50s in the South. You know, when it was this space is for whites only. You know, it wasn't just the black guy who tried to go into a white space that would be in trouble with the law. If the white guy running that space said, I don't care what color your skin is as long as your money is green, you know, if he serviced him, he's now in violation of the law. He'll be punished. You know, so, you know, and that's what this is. So you're dictating who you can associate with, just like a segregationist. You know, you know, but that's what it's all about. It's about power and control over others, especially people you hate. And this is all distraction so you don't look at the realities of the Whisper Network that's actively trying to destroy people. Like that one girl who said that she wants most of the cishet men in the industry to be kicked out of the industry and destroyed. You know. Don't look at that. Instead, look at this J. Lee cover. He worked with Ethan Van Sciver. We need to cancel him. You know, the numbers of the industry going down, down, down. Horrible numbers, horrible figures. No, don't look at that. Instead, look at Dynamite Comics. They're working with a Comicsgate person. Let's cancel them. That's all it is, folks. It's all distraction. All distraction to get you to listen and believe what they tell you and to follow what they want you to do, so you don't see how they have failed. They have failed the industry. They have failed the shops. They have failed the readers. They have failed everybody, and they can't accept any culpability in that. So we need to find scapegoats. So let's find distractions and we can use them and say they're the problem. That's what you're seeing, folks. That's what's going on here. Nothing more and nothing less. And, you know, it's something that really, you know, really irks me, because I know if people just paid attention to what's really happening, you know, we could take care of a lot of this. You know, Billy Tucci saying F you to the cancel culture. Cecil getting more success for cash grab because of cancel culture. These are the ways we strike back at it. But it's all distraction. Distraction from what really matters. A healthy industry and people being able to associate freely with who they will whenever they want. These are the things that really matter. And these are the things they want to distract you from when they want to say Comicsgate is a hate group. Which it's not. Which, again, I'm about to show you. This is what they're calling a hate group. This little piece I'm about to show you right here. This is their hate group. This is who they designate a hate group. Come on. Here we go.
Of Comicscape. As a gay male, I am the leader of Comicscape.
Hi there, I'm the leader of Comicscape.
As a Latina, I'm the leader of Comicscape.
I am the leader of Comicscape.
I am the leader of Comicscape.
I am Mexican, and I am the leader of Comicscape.
I'm the leader of Comicscape.
I am the leader of Comicscape.
I'm a leader of Comicscape.
I am the 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 leader of Comicscape.
I'm the leader of Comicscape.
I am 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 the leader of Comicscape, and you can be too.
And you can be too.
And you could be one too. I am the leader of Comicscape, and you can be too.
And you can be too. You can be too.
And you can be too.
Oh my God.
And you can be too.
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 You can be one too.
You can be one too.
I am the leader of Comicscape. And you can be too.
And you can be too.
And you can be too.
And you can be too. You can be too.
And you can be one too.
And you can be two.
And you can be too.
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 And you can be too. Baby.
I am the leader of Comicscape, and you can be too.
And there you go. There's your hate group. Have you ever seen a more diversified group of people in your life? You know, my hat's off to Ethan Van Sciver for putting that video together, because that was something special. But there it is. That's the people they call a hate group. Those people. You know, this is who they're fighting against. This is who they want to destroy. This is who they want to blacklist from the industry. This is who they want to be the boogeyman, so that they don't have to take responsibility for the destruction of the comic book industry at their hands. This is the truth, folks. This is what's really going on. And you know, I hope that doing all this, these discussions I've had in the past, and this one here, and maybe ones in the future, I hope it's come to help you see just what these people are all about. They've never been about inclusivity. When they say we want to be inclusive, what they usually mean by that is white exclusion, and especially heterosexual white male exclusion. But of course they can't say that, because if that's what they said they meant, well, then that would make them the bigots. So they have to hide it. And so they use flowery words: inclusion, equality, representation, all these things, but they don't care about any of that. It's all about power and control. That's all it's ever been about. That's all it will ever be about for these people, because that's how it is for Marxists. That's how it is for neo-Maoists. That's how it is for SJWs. And that is why you never, ever, ever bend the knee to them, because it will never turn out well for you. As I've shown here today, Dynamite bent the knee, and it still wasn't good enough. And it never will be, because they'll be asked to bend it again and again and again. This is what you must stand against. And it's hard. it's very difficult because, you know, these people, like I said, they will come at you and they will try to destroy everything you've worked for, everything you've built up, everything you believe, everything you love. They will destroy it all. You know, they want you penniless and homeless, living on the street, contemplating suicide. That is how they want you to be. So, I mean, always keep that in mind when dealing with these people, because that is who you're dealing with. Well, that'll about do it for this one, I guess. Just want to say thanks for tuning in, and make sure to hit some of those links down there below. I've got a couple videos in there, one from your boy Zach and one from just some guy talking about some of this stuff. I think they did a really good job with it. I think you should check those videos out for sure, especially just some guy who I think is like one of the funniest people on YouTube today. I mean, if you're not subscribed to him, you're really missing out, because that boy, he is something else. You know, he is a pistol, as we old timers used to say. He is a pistol. I love watching his videos, and definitely check his out, and check out the one from Zach, because he made some very good points in his video regarding the whole situation with Diamond Comics cucking and bending the knee. And make sure to hook up with us too. You know, we are here on our Twitter page there. You know, got a link down there for that, and you can help support the channel by heading over to the art gallery and purchasing some art from our artists. Now, I can guarantee you the artists I work with love the consumers. They don't think you're bigots. They don't think you're Nazis. They would never tell you, we don't want your money. You know, we don't believe in that here. We're all capitalists here at Sequential Treasures. So, you know, we will always support anyone with an endeavor to, you know, make a profit. And that's what we do here. So, you know, if you want to help out, you can get yourself some really awesome art by some great artists that I'm working with. So, you know, head over there, you know, and links in the description there, and head over and check out the awesome art. There's always new stuff going up. I just posted up some stuff earlier this week, you know, about a couple dozen pages of art. So some really new stuff that's up now, and go and check that out. I think you really enjoy it. And once again, thanks for tuning in. I hope you all enjoyed this, and give you a little something to think about. And until next time, take care.